Mike Tyson versus Roy Jones Jr. There's a lot to this. There's a lot of elements. So first off, you got to take what this fight is. This fight is a lot of people are looking at this from a negative perspective. See, I see this as they're not in their primes, far from it, but they are still hungry in their own right. Well, Mike Tyson is anyway. If you've been following his podcast, or his hundreds of probably more than hundreds, maybe even thousands now of social media exploits. He is hungry. He is hungry for something. He's not ready to put his feet up. That's what people got to understand. But these two, take that. Let's just look at their credentials, man. You got to judge men for what they've done, or you don't judge them for what they've done, but you've got to appreciate Mike Tyson in his time, in his prime, youngest heavyweight world champion, this Olympic champion, Olympic heavyweight champion. Before that, 18, some ridiculous age. I mean, what was I doing at 18? I was an athlete, that's for sure, but I wasn't no Olympic champion. And then what? Heavyweight world champion as professional at 20 years old. Bloody hell, I was still wasting time with street fights at 20 years old and getting drunk every weekend. And this guy was the youngest heavyweight world champion. Fast forward, Roy Jones Jr. Skip over to him. He started at middleweight, won his first world title at middleweight. I believe it was the IBF against Bernard Hopkins. Quote me if I'm wrong. And he went all the way up to heavyweight. He made history, middleweight to heavyweight. I think it may have been done before in the old days, but recently in the last 20 years, that's 20, 30 years, he's the only guy to have done that. Who did he beat? I think he beat the guy who David Haye defended to. I feel really bad. I can't remember the name, but I'll put the name in the comments. I'll put it in another video. He was a solid fighter. Anyway, so these guys are. Well, I think Mike Tyson about 54. Roy Jones Jr. is about 51, and they still want to do it. They still want to have to fight. So now, why not? That's what I'm saying. Why not? Now, a lot of people, there's some obvious reasons to this. So they'll say their health. They'll say, their health. They shouldn't be risking it at their age. They should not be risking it. Their brain, blah 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 blah. I mean, you shouldn't be risking it at any age. But these guys aren't like other guys. Do you know what I'm saying? These are fighters through and through. They're built differently. They've had a lifetime of it. Also, it's an exhibition fight. That's what people don't get. This is an exhibition. People say, it's ruining boxing. It's not ruining boxing. If this made one person who would never watch a boxing match watch boxing, they've done good for boxing. And the show was a celebrity fanfare. Hate to say it, but that is great. That is great for boxing. Almost like the YouTube thing. Hate to say it, but it is great for boxing. I'll make a separate video, video recording. I've not got the videos yet on that later. But back to these two. I watched most of it. I didn't watch all of it, and I was impressed with what I saw. It was kind of what was going to happen anyway. I mean, Roy Jones is big, but he ain't a natural heavyweight. He's a natural super middle. His prime, he was a super middle. Yeah, middleweight, super middle when he went light heavy. But really, his best days, his best work was at super middleweight. That's where he's just untouchable, unbelievable, that man. In his prime, special. He could put power shots from his hand behind his back, moving off on the other foot, pivoting at the same time, and then turn you. Do you know what I mean? No defense, crazy head movement. The only other person I think has got head movement to match Roy Jones was maybe, what was that guy, the British guy? Nassim Hamid. Maybe Prince Nassim Hamid. He was in his prime. He had his movement was also up there, or maybe. But I don't want to compare them to. But give Nassim his credit as well. So anyway, Roy Jones is always going to be on the back foot, and people are actually thinking that he might outskill and outbox Mike Tyson. I've seen these in a lot of comments in a lot of Facebook groups, man. I was thinking, I was like, are you deluded? No, and that's harsh actually, because unless you've been a fighter and you've experienced someone who's a natural beast compared to you coming at you to take you out. Also, bear in mind, Mike Tyson weren't trying to take him out, but when he was letting his shots go, he was definitely letting his shots go. And when a man who's a bigger man than you, who has power, because remember, not all big men have power. Just because someone's bigger than you doesn't mean he can knock you out. But if a bigger man has power, it's a hell of a lot worse than a smaller man with power. Get what I'm saying? So people saying he's going to outbox him, he's going to outskill him. You ain't gonna outbox Mike Tyson. The only time you could do that is if you're maybe like Lennox Lewis. You got that, and all I'm saying there is you got the height advantage and the range. You've got the assets, the technical assets, which he would struggle. He would struggle to deal with. He would have to work extra hard to deal with. But no, Roy Jones did what he could, and he wrapped him up every time he got in. Very smart, very smart. Like can't remember what else he going to do. He would have got stopped to the body otherwise, because I know Mike Tyson weren't trying to take him out to the head, but he was giving him some lever in the body shots, man. And you can see Mike Tyson was having fun. Roy Jones was happy to be there. I mean, if you're a fighter, you know, like just getting back in the ring. Like, if you've been out for a long time, never mind 15, 20 years of these guys or more, but just getting back in the ring, it's like, wow, it's a privilege to be back in that surreal moment. Hard to explain to people who don't experience it, but yeah, so he was just happy to be there. And there was a bucket list. He could say he boxed Mike Tyson, one of the all-time greats and all-time legends, Iron Mike. Now, Mike Tyson, the other way, he was hungry. He was happy. And what a gentleman at the end. So he knew it was going to be a draw. It's an exhibition. And with that moron, oh my God, some reporter at the end, he said, Are you happy with the draw? Like, come on, man. Like, it's an exhibition. It's going to be a draw. If you're not happy about it, don't sign up for the fight. And what was his response was class, perfect. Like, no, he was so happy. He was like, yeah, I think I won the fight. Oh, they did ask him that as well. He said, but yeah, I'm happy with the draw. Honest. And it's true. And Roy Jones Jr. gave him his full credit. He was like, those body shots, man. You can see the look in his face. And Mike Tyson gave him his due as well. He said, but you took him, and I was giving it to you. And he was. And you can see he was in full old school pitbull mode. Loved it. Obviously, I do think he could have stepped up another few gears, but he comes across like not as a good guy. Do you know what I mean? And any good guy who's a fighter as well taking out someone they know they can take out, it doesn't do anything for them. Do you know what I mean? That's like hitting a puppy. Like, you can't, not calling Roy Jones a puppy, but that kind of comparison is like, it's like, pick on someone your own size. Do you know what I mean? If someone's tough, give it to you. You can have a good fight, but like, there's gears. And leave out that extra gear. Do you know what I mean? There's a time and a place. And I think it was great. For the health, man, I hate it. There's a personal hate of mine. Look, when people get on about other people's health and their risks. Listen, you take your own risks and you own your own risks. If you go through life and you take no risks, you've wasted your life. Honestly, I genuinely believe that. Some risk. At some point, you've got to put yourself out of your comfort zone, do something you've always spoken about, or something. Just for you, man, and for the world. That's your duty to the world, to the collective consciousness. We ain't gonna go down that route, and you grow from that, man. Roy Jones, he grew from that. He got an experience out of that. Mike Tyson, and if anything, he got Mike Tyson back in the ring. Mike Tyson being older, but he's he didn't look like an old man in there though, did he? If he died those greys, he'd be. Anyway. So now from that, we've got talking potential Lennox Lewis, similar age, early 50s. You've got the real deal, Evander Holyfield, similar age, early 50s, gunning for it. I don't think Lennox Lewis is gunning for it, but Evander Holyfield, you know that man's gunning for it. I think it's a great thing. I think they own their risks. It's not like they've been sitting on the sofa, drinking beer with their feet up, giving up on life 10 years ago, or behind a desk for the last 20 years. Nothing wrong with that, but I mean, they're fighters, man. They've been in the gym. They have money. Do you know what I mean? They live a good life. They're the best early 50-year-olds you're ever going to see. Do you know what I mean? And you own your own risk, and I think it's actually fine. And I think if you fight someone in your era, this is what Roy Jones has said in a previous podcast, something on YouTube. To fight someone in your era, then it's fine. Do you know what I mean? Don't fight someone in another generation unless you really have to. It's something separate, you know. But in your era, it's fine to do, and own your own risk. And what's his name? George Foreman. He came back and won a world title. Was he 50? I can't remember his age. I think it was about that. Bernard Hopkins, world title. Do you know what I mean? It's possible. And why deny a man a chance to build their own legacy? Why? And you say, oh, he could die in the ring. Anyone can die in the ring. And to be honest, to die doing what you love is a lot worse way to go. But yeah, like and subscribe. Stay tuned for more.